The US Marines at Chosin Reservoir didn't have time for perfect camouflage. They just threw the white paint over their tanks and hoped it would keep them alive in the snow. Alright, so this month's build is the M26A1 Pershing heavy tank, and specifically a Marine Corps tank from the Battle of Chosin Reservoir from the Korean War. Now, I originally wanted this video out for the anniversary of the battle back in December, but life got a little bit busy because my daughter was born. So this build is arriving about 3 months late. Hopefully the Marines at Chosin Reservoir were a little more on schedule than I was. Starting with the wheels and the running gear. So construction here is simple but really effective. Each wheel is just two halves that come together quickly, and before long, you've got the full set ready to go. The suspension design is actually pretty clever. These long connecting arms slot through the running gear and lock everything in place, while still allowing a little movement. Once everything is assembled, it gives the Pershing a really convincing and sturdy looking suspension system. With that running gear built, it's time for paint. So everything was primed in black first, and then sprayed with Atom Olive Drab, which might genuinely be the best olive drab colour I've ever used. A few light coats over the wheel, suspension and hull were enough to build up a solid finish. For the wheels themselves, the centres remain olive drab, while the outer rims are painted rubber black. Next up is the engine compartment. Now this actually is really nicely detailed part of the kit, which is slightly unfortunate because it ends up completely hidden once the hull is closed. Something that I only realised at the very last moment when I attached that upper hull. So yes, this entire engine build is basically a lesson in reading ahead in the instructions. Still, the engine itself is nicely detailed, with the drivetrain components connecting through to where the drive wheels would be. The interior is painted white as suggested by the instructions. I didn't do much research here, since it wouldn't be visible anyway, but it adds a bit of visual interest during the build. Once assembled, the drivetrain lines up nicely with the wheel assemblies, and the exhaust pipes match up perfectly with the outlets on the rear of the tank. A few metallic dry brush highlights help bring that engine detail to life, even if we never get to see it again. Okay, so with the interior complete, it's time for the upper hull to go on. Now most of this stage is straightforward assembly, attaching hull pieces, equipment boxes and storage areas across the top of the tank. I can leave you with a few fast-paced build moments and some very janky looking transitions. The machine gun mount and hatch details go on next, followed by the exhaust and air intake grills at the rear. Everything fits together extremely cleanly on this kit, which makes the build process really enjoyable. Moving on to the turret then, and the casting texture is moulded really nicely straight out of the box, so there was no need to do any additional texture work. The hatches were assembled, and I deliberately left the spare track links off for now so the turret could be painted more easily later. The gun barrel comes in several parts, but once assembled it remains fully movable, which is a nice feature. I did briefly install it incorrectly, meaning I had to remove it and feed the barrel through properly. But once fixed in, it clips into place perfectly. The top mounted machine gun is added here as well. The machine gun on this tank is the 50 caliber heavy machine gun, which I believe was used primarily against aircraft rather than other infantry. The machine gun on the front was for taking down infantry. Whether this was still particularly effective by the time jet aircraft appeared in Korea, I'm not so sure, but it would come back around and be effective against helicopters all the same. So this kit includes rubber tracks rather than individual links, which I actually prefer. I find individual link tracks a nightmare, even though they do look 10 times better in the end. And even for those of you that do prefer individual track links, American tanks, like the Pershing, tended to run very tight track tension, so rubber tracks actually work quite well here. To get a more convincing metallic finish, the tracks were primed black, sprayed with a bit of dark sea grey, and then dry brushed with metallic grey and burnt iron along the central contact points and outer edges. With the tracks finished, the rest of the tank receives its olive drab coat. Again, this is simply the Atom Olive Drab. Atom? This is the Atom Olive Drab sprayed over the black primer, and even without pre-shading, this colour looks fantastic once applied across the whole tank. The exhaust grills I was particularly proud of on this build. Initially painted burnt iron, followed by some chipping using iron and chrome silver. Rust streaks and darker tones were added to build up that heat-stressed metal effect. It does look quite intense at first, but it settles down nicely once the rest of the weathering goes on. For the air intakes, I added a light dust filter using AK dust effects. The spare track links on the turret were then painted dark grey and dry brushed with metallic tones. The headlights I painted chrome silver and later finished with clear crystal to give them a realistic lens effect, and the front machine gun was painted gunmetal with metallic dry brushing. Around this rear engine deck, I then added a lot of heavier chipping, particularly along the central walkway where crew would likely be stepping during maintenance. Okay, so to add some depth to the paintwork, I mixed the olive drab with a little buff and lightly highlighted the upper surfaces and centre panels. This subtle colour shift helped bring out the shapes of the tank without looking overdone. I then did a nice gloss coat in preparation for decals. For these markings, as I mentioned, I'm using the Bison Decals Korean War set, choosing a vehicle representing a Marine Pershing from the Battle of Chosin Reservoir. My usual decal method is microset first, place the decal, remove the excess water and then apply microsol to soften it into the surface. Once dry, they settle perfectly into all the details. And then afterwards I seal everything with another light gloss coat. And now for the most dramatic part of the build, the winter whitewash. Say that again. The winter whitewash. I'm using AK washable white paint, which represent field applied whitewash thrown onto the tank by crews. The idea is that the Marines would have simply poured or brushed white paint across the tank to break up its silhouette in the snow. So this whitewash goes over the entire vehicle. Then the real work begins, and a lot of tension is in the air. Using water, brushes, cloths, toothbrushes, and anything I can really get my hands on, the paint is gradually scrubbed back to reveal that olive drab underneath. This stage took quite a while, and for a moment I was genuinely worried that it wasn't going to work and that white would be the new colour of the whole tank. But slowly that whitewash started to wear away in a really convincing pattern. The goal is to keep it uneven and patchy, especially on vertical surfaces where the paint would naturally run or wear away. Once I was happy with the whitewash, I added some additional chipping across both the white paint and the underlying tank surface, both with a bit of burnt iron and the olive drab. Particular attention went to areas where crew would regularly climb onto the vehicle to show chipped off paint, either the whitewash paint or the underpaint. Anyone who's ever climbed on a tank knows exactly where your boots end up every time, and these high traffic areas get the heaviest wear. Next I did a bit of panel lining, and rather than using a dark wash, I used a more dirty, flat earth tone to keep the effect subtle and avoid a cartoonish contrast. So using this fountain pen style thing that I found on Temu, I dip it in the paint and the wash then flows neatly into the panel lines and details. A little extra dirt around the wheels helps ground that vehicle. As a final step, I applied a very thin light grey filter over the entire tank using this Royal Navy set, which is a bit of a teaser for a future series. Then the goal here is to slightly desaturate the colours and give the model a cold, frozen, atmospheric look appropriate for the Chosin Reservoir setting. It is very subtle and very thin, but it helps unify all the weathering and the whole tank come together as one. Alright, and with that is the M26A1 Pershing complete in its Korean War winter camouflage. This was actually my first time attempting a whitewash tank and my first armour build for quite a while, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, and this tank isn't finished yet. In the next video It's going to be placed into a Korean War diorama featuring some US Marines fighting through a snowy landscape. So if you enjoyed this build, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.